Baseball and Whatever, with your host, Justin McAwee.
Because I was on campus and I had to appear like I was one of the cool kids, I would put the Star Wars book inside one of my textbooks so it looked like I was just studying for class.
All right, look, there's only one return, okay? And it ain't of the king, it's of the Jedi.
Vincent Francis Jankowitz IV.
I'm a glorified fact checker.
Last I checked, the most runs in a game wins.
Actually, I am a fact checker.
And Greg Probst.
If you look at most Bond fans movie rankings, they have Casino Royale and Majesties in their top two. For me, these actually rank in the bottom part of my list. I mean, I love them, but they don't compare to Diamond Cup Forever.
No, stop getting Bond wrong!
Alrighty, hello everybody. We're back again. Baseball and Whatever, episode 73. Justin here, Vinny's here. We are going to be discussing baseball, MLB postseason in particular. Holy cow, I don't know what my hair's doing right now. MLB postseason, I got like a Conan O'Brien thing going. MLB postseason, we're going to be talking Bears football. The people at Amazon Prime must be gouging their eyeballs out with the 2 weeks in a row now of horrible, god-awful Thursday night football they have on.
Hey, there was a touchdown scored tonight. Come on now.
Stop the presses. Is Justin Fields still in the game, or did he get taken out for good? Do we know?
I don't know.
All right,
I had to turn it off because I wouldn't be able to do this podcast.
We'll update you when we get to our football segment. But yes, if you're listening for the first time, thank you so much. We are Baseball and Whatever. First half of the show is usually Chicago sports, mostly baseball, but now baseball's winding down, so we got to talk about how god-awful the Bears are, so we discuss that. Maybe we'll talk about the Blackhawks at some point. It's not really worth it. They're even worse than the Bears. I know they played tonight. I'm guessing they're going to lose. But the Bulls, you know, that's the shining diamond in the rough. So maybe once their season starts next week. Well, Lonzo Ball needs to get back. And if he doesn't, Patrick Williams needs to step up. We'll see. I'm so excited, Vinny. I have not ordered a basketball jersey since like second, third grade. I am now the proud owner of a 95-96 Steve Kerr alternate Bulls jersey. I was gonna wear it, but it was too hot down here, so I decided not to. But I'm thinking like in the summer.
Jersey. I mean, a basketball jersey is the perfect thing to wear because you don't have to. You can stay cool in it.
Yeah, I was gonna wear a hoodie underneath it, and it was just too hot. So
Your obvious shirt is better.
Yes, thank you. I have my obvious shirts. Greatest game ever played was a Wednesday in Cleveland. They had a sale last week, so I finally bit the bullet and bought one. Anyway, I forgot like how much I like Bulls jerseys or basketball jerseys. They're a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking in the summer on the boat at my parents, I'm gonna pull a Vinnie Jankowitz and I'm gonna rock the swim trunks and basketball jersey.
There you go.
That you do, sun's out, guns out. Get rid of that farmer's tan, even though I'm not a farmer.
There you go, Justin.
And I'm not gonna lie, I started reading Muggsy Bogues' book this week. What is it called? The Godfather of Small Ball, I believe is.
Okay.
I think it's the Godfather of something. Godfather of. Hold on, let's see. This is excellent radio. Muggsy Bogues, my life from a kid in the projects to the Godfather of Small Ball. Yeah, I was right. Really, really good. But then it got me thinking. It's like, oh, do I need a Muggsy Bogues jersey because I really liked him as a kid?
Probably.
Yeah, but they're expensive. So anyway, highly recommend eBay. That's what I think I'm gonna have to do. His book is really good. If you grew up watching 90s basketball and you were really short in school like me, and you liked Muggsy Bogues, highly recommend it. I'm about 70 pages in. It's pretty good so far. Anyway, enough about that. We are Baseball and Whatever. If you'd like to reach out and contact the show, you can reach us on Twitter at Baseball and What. We are rapidly approaching 1,000 followers. I think we're almost at 900 now. You can find us at youtube.com/baseball and whatever. We're up to 130 subscribers. We have a new one we can announce this week. You can tweet us at Baseball and What. Like I said, you can email the show at baseballandwhatever@gmail.com. Find us on your podcast app of choice, whether it's Apple, Spotify, Google, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music. I think that's all of them.
All of them.
No. There's many. There's many. But we are on all of them. This is episode 73. This week, like I said, we're going to talk famous or worst sports franchises and fan bases that we can't stand. We have quite a few to discuss. I'm pretty excited about that. But first, we like to do famous numbers of athletes that wore the number of the podcast we're on. And we're up to episode 73. So, Vinny, I'm going to be honest. I don't know anyone who wore 73 in Chicago history for sports.
Oh, Justin,
This
there's
is
a
getting
lot
really
of
tough.
recent. There's a lot of recent 73s. So this is shame on you for not
But
getting any of these.
are they good players, or are they like relief pitchers that threw like 20 innings and we never heard from them again?
They're good. Justin, you're going to kick yourself on some of these.
Okay.
For the Cubs, there's one.
I'm ready.
He's currently wearing it. Top
For the
rated.
Cubs?
Well, he was a top seeded prospect in the Cubs organization. He is currently a relief pitcher. They've tried to make him a starter. He's also been hurt a lot.
Keegan Thompson?
No, he's been hurt a lot.
Hurt. Is that
Pitcher. Hurt a
Keegan
lot. That's a
Top
top seeded prospect.
Jalen Hurts. I don't know.
Jalen Hurts doesn't even play
I know,
football.
I
Or
know.
doesn't play baseball. He plays football.
Shooting, he's been hurt a lot. Top seeded prospect.
Come on.
Oh, Albert Alzolay.
Yes,
All right.
Edbert Alzolay,
What did I
not
say?
Albert.
Oh, did I say Albert? I
Albert.
meant to say Edbert.
Uh,
Sorry.
Classic Chicago meathead. Yeah, that Albert Alzolay.
Put him out there. You know, his
Yeah.
arm's about to fall off, but put him out there.
Yes, he is wearing 73 currently. No other 73 in Chicago Cubs history.
Wow. Okay.
Now on to the White Sox. Justin, I can't believe this guy last year was the talk of the town.
For the White Sox?
Yes, for a couple months.
Oh, Yermin Mercedes, the Yerminator.
Good job, Justin.
go.
Yes,
Thank
Yermin
you.
Mercedes. And then in 1997, Tony Phillips.
Oh,
I don't know
God.
that
I think Tony Phillips might be dead, actually, now.
Is he?
Let me check. I want to say... I remember him when he was on the Anaheim... Well, they were the California Angels or the Anaheim... Yeah,
Yeah.
He died in 2016.
Yeah.
I want to say... Was it...
Yeah, he went to the 1989 World Series.
Okay. Yeah, he died of a heart attack on February 17th, 2016.
Wow.
Huh. Wow. Way to bring the podcast to
Yeah, thanks,
screeching halt.
Justin.
Sorry, Vinny.
This is
Yeah, but I do
morbid.
remember he had a long career in the MLB. Okay.
Let's go on to something more morbid. The Chicago Bears 73 history.
Why?
All right.
Who do you got?
Somebody currently is wearing it. Let's see here. It's I think this guy is currently wearing it. Two guys. It has two guys for 2022, but one of them he's no longer with the team.
Okay.
This guy's a lineman. He was
Okay.
signed in the offseason. I want to say he played for the Rams last year. I don't know why that's popping up in my head.
Michael Schofield.
Yes, that's correct. Good job, Justin.
His wife is Kendall Coyne of Olympic hockey fame, and I believe she played for I don't know if she was a Badger. I don't know which team she played for in college, but yeah, she works for the Blackhawks now. And actually,
Okay.
Michael Schofield is from Orland Park, where I used
Yes.
to teach. So
Interesting.
about 30 minutes from where I live. So yeah,
Okay.
good connection.
Before Michael Schofield, it was Lachavius Simmons. Do you remember
I don't
him?
remember him. No.
Cornelius Lucas.
No.
Nope. John Jenkins.
No.
No. Let's see. Jamarcus Webb. That's got to ring a
Marcus
bell
Webb,
for you.
I remember him kind of having some problems with the Bears. Not everybody really liked him, it seemed like.
He wasn't good.
No, he wasn't very good either. That's a problem when you're in the NFL.
Yes. And you're starting.
And you're starting.
Well,
that's a prerequisite. If you start for the Bears, you usually have to be bad. That's kind of how that works. But
yeah. Let's see. Kevin Dugans.
no, I have
2001,
no idea.
2002. No.
Okay.
All right. John. Oh, I'm gonna butcher this one. Wojciechowski.
Okay.
WOJCIECHOWSKIE or SKI. Sorry, no E at the end.
Nice Polish boy, I'm sure.
Yeah. From 87 to 93, and Mike Hartenstein.
Okay. Nope.
75 to 86. He was on the 85 Bears.
Okay.
That was that. Let's see. Frank Cornish. 66 to 69. Name doesn't ring a bell for me.
No.
That's about it. Yeah.
All right.
Not much else there. Rich Buzzin is a good football name. He wore 73 for the Bears in 72.
Buzzin.
Yeah, Buzin. I'm guessing it's Buzzin.
I know all the kids these days say things are bussin' if it's really cool. Did you know that?
Justin, I am not hip with the kids these days.
No, I'm not hip with the kids either, but I remember last year in the middle school I taught it. You're bussin'. I don't know what it means. I never took the time to learn, but anyway.
Moving on to something even more depressing, the Blackhawks. This is getting more morbid as we go.
If the Bulls aren't good during off season this winter, it's going to be a bad winter for Chicago sports.
Yeah. Well, we're
going to need
dive in. It might be okay for Chicago sports. We'll dive into that later. But for the Blackhawks, 73, there was only one person to wear it. Who was it, Justin? You should know this. 2021.
73?
Yep.
2021. Can you tell me the position he played?
It kind of it would if you say the number 73 and the last guy's his last name, it kind of rhymes. I guess I have no idea what
team anymore.
No, not on the team anymore.
Do you know what position he played?
He played center. Shoots left. 6 foot even. 186 pounds.
I almost said
from Toronto, Ontario.
Kirby Doc, but I know that's not him.
Drafted by Chicago in the second round of the 2009 NHL draft.
2009?
Yeah. Second round, 59th overall.
This guy come from? Holy shit. I have no idea.
Brandon Piree wears number 73.
He bounced around. I think he's playing for the Chicago Wolves now, actually.
Okay. Yeah, he wore 37 originally with the Blackhawks from 2010 to 2014.
Okay, that is what I remember him playing with the Hawks, yes.
Yeah, and then he came back. That
go around.
Yep.
All right.
And the second time around, he wore 73. So
yeah,
that is it for Chicago's 73s. We are really scraping the bottom of the barrel here.
Yeah, this isn't good. This isn't good. I'm really going to be sad when we get to 99. If we make it to 99, I'm hoping we make it to 99. If we will, we'll have to decide if we retire the segment or just start over because we're old enough where we won't remember 0, 1, 2. We didn't even start with one.
Yeah, I was going to say we'll have to figure out where we
started.
We started. Yep.
I want to say like maybe in the 20s.
I thought 15s? It was past. We definitely didn't get to. It wasn't 23. It was way past that. I think.
Yeah.
I want to say it was 30s. I don't even think we did 33.
We got like another 50 weeks, so that's like another year's worth of playing this game then.
Yep. Yeah, I think we're good.
All right. Well, let's get into. We do have a couple. I combined our text line, YouTube, emails, tweets, comments. Vinny, do you want to take the first two, and then I'll take the last one since it comes from my mother?
Sure. We are now up to 130 YouTube subscribers thanks to Packers Daily. That really hurts to say.
Yeah, he's not going to like this episode by the time
subscribing
we get to
this week. But yep, we subscribe back. So yep, the Packers Daily subscribe to us. I don't know why. But yes, thank you for subscribing. Zach, Dr. Condom reached out and said, I remember hearing of Dear Avenger. This is the last week's episode on the top-ranked PC games. I remember hearing of Dear Avenger. I never played it, though. It sounds really cool. Yes, I have to agree. It sounded like a really fun game.
Yeah, I would say go on YouTube. There's got to be videos. It was a very low-rent game. I feel like I would have gotten it maybe like Walmart in the bargain bin for like $10. Remember like you'd have like the when the PC games still came in a box. It was like one of those. And I mean, it probably it gave you a couple hours of fun, and then it just kind of repeated itself over and over again. But
I would have to imagine that that game's out there for free somewhere.
Oh yeah. There was a website I found. I'm gonna have to dig through my Google bookmarks. You could play some of these old games, and sometimes they loaded okay, and sometimes they didn't. And then I just kind of got worried, like, is this thing just filling my computer with spyware and stuff? And I stopped playing. So, yeah. But I know, like, I think it was archive.org. You sent a text this week in our text chain. Did that have games in it? Or no? I don't remember.
A bunch of old DOS games, yeah.
Okay. Archive.org is legit. I've been on there before. Okay. I've actually, this is like when I'm feeling really nostalgic. You go in there and you look up certain websites of like what they look like in the like early 90s.
Oh, really? Yeah. I've never been there. I just stumbled upon it.
It's a really cool website. Like you could go and find, because it crawls the internet and it documents all this. Like, I found like my MySpace page from like 2007.
Oh my gosh.
And it like
Nerd.
had exactly what it looked like, who was my top 8, all that stuff. So
Nerd alert!
yeah, we're getting old. Anyway, all right, let's get to this last comment. My mom wrote in. I talked to her on the phone today when I was driving into work, and she's like, I want you to read this comment because I want to get my side of the situation here. If you don't remember last week, we talked about our favorite PC games, and I talked about how I memorized like the line of code or the executable in DOS that would let you skip to any level that my dad would use when he played because my parents wouldn't let me use it. And I think it had something to do with I don't even remember what I said the reason was. But my mom wrote in and said, here was the real reason. She said, I'd like to make a rebuttal of last week's episode regarding letting you play Doom 2 when you were a kid and launching those codes in DOS. You seem to forget you were a very anxious child when you were that age.
Other breaking news. Water. Wet.
Thank you, Vinnie. And I didn't want you to be scared with nightmares in the middle of the night, hearing noises, thinking people were breaking in because of the game. This would have had you keeping us up all night, and it would have made you scared, and we didn't want that. So that's how I remember the Doom 2 situation.
Boom. Roasted.
Thanks. I just got roasted by my mother. I don't remember that at all.
Of course you don't.
Vinnie, come on, Vinnie. I am not an anxious guy. I don't know what she's talking about.
No, not
At least
anymore.
not as much anymore. Prior to like 5-6 years ago, real bad. Anyway,
Yes.
real bad.
Well documented on this podcast.
Oh, well, yes. Well documented in photos, too. It's just like, oh, Justin doesn't look too happy. He's probably having a panic attack. All right. Anyway, yes, thank you, Mom, for writing in. I suppose you're right. And as a parent, I see her point of view a little bit there now. So
Yep.
All
I
right.
get that.
We do have 2 hot takes. So, Vinny, let's get to the hot takes.
Greg's Hot Takes.
Now you want to get nuts? Come on!
Hell yeah.
All right. Want to get nuts? Come on.
Let's get nuts!
All right, Vinny, I saw you put this on the show outline earlier in the week, so I'm very curious. I'm very
Totally
curious.
forgotten about this. That's why I did it.
Okay, because I want to know. I saw this and I'm like, oh, there's a story or a situation here, because you wouldn't just put this on the show outline.
Yes, I was in Walgreens, it was Walgreens getting my booster shot for COVID, and
Yes.
when I was there, I saw a gentleman who was older than me, and he had 3 kids. He had spiked hair like what a 10-year-old kid would have. Like, spiked hair on grown men is not good unless it's for a get-up, like you're a rock star or, you're wearing a costume of some sort and you have to put up the spiked. And I'm talking about lots of gel spiked hair. This isn't like using like, I don't know, some other like kind of like pomade and your hair happens to be spiky. It's like individual spikes on your hair because you took the gel, poured it in your hair and just slicked it back and it's standing, you're getting it to stand up. It is a terrible look on grown men. Anybody that's doing it, you instantly think that, man, that guy is a child. He was there with 3 kids. I don't know. I think that is a terrible look. I don't know if that's necessarily a hot take, because I'm sure there are probably more people that would agree with me that a grown man with a spiked hair of a 10-year-old looks ridiculous. But if you're a grown man spiking your hair like that, please stop. You don't look good, and I'll be the one to tell you that you don't look good doing it. You should probably just stop.
Okay, well, first of all, I just got my booster on Sunday. Did you have any side effects from yours?
Sore arm. I had that with all of them, and I guess I did feel kind of cruddy too.
Yeah.
A little bit, where I was like, oh, and the thing was, I ran out and got it because someone in Will had come in close contact with someone in his class, and I was like, great. Like, I figured I'd just go out and get it. So I did that, and then I got the shot. My arm was sore, and then I kind of felt a little crummy, and I was like, oh, great. I hope I'm not coming down with it. But I didn't have. I felt more tired, but not like I was when I actually had COVID, where I was tired and I had like chills and a fever. I didn't have any of that extra stuff, so I was like, yeah, it's probably just from the shot.
Because I know Erica and I both got ours on Sunday, and Erica never has. She through all 4 now, she's never gotten any side effects. The first shot or the second one, I can't remember. I got really bad side effects, and then I was fine with the first booster, but I was just real achy, kind of tired, and then I was getting a sore throat. I'm like, oh, I'm hoping this is from side effects, and now it's been like 4.5 days, and Erica's been sick on and off. She had an inflamed lung. I don't even know how that happens. So
oh God,
I think I'm just getting what she has. But anyway, yes. Okay, so when you first had spiky hair, I was thinking of me in high school. I did not do like all the spikes. I just did the front where it looked like you walked into a wall. Do you remember that look?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I did that too. I think we all did that.
Everyone
at some
had that
point.
in high school.
Yeah,
that was like an early 2000s.
Yeah.
And then I also had that with like the bleach tips or the highlighted tips.
Yeah,
and
I did that
stuff
too.
I know. I've seen that photo at your parents' house with the bleach blonde hair. But I mean, I'll be honest. I'm kind of like, hey, whatever, you do you. But at the same time, am I going to be like under my breath, be like, okay, I wouldn't go that route, but sure. Yeah, whatever, man. I don't know. Yeah, as an adult, I just don't have time or the energy to do my hair anymore, as I look like I woke up from a nap after work and it looks like just all over the place.
Yep.
Yeah, I wake up. After I shower, I comb it, and then in the morning I wet it, and I kind of try and put it in a certain way, and that's it. I don't do anything else.
Yeah. I mean, I use product in my hair with what little hair I have left. It's slowly it's more rapidly falling out, and going away. But yeah, the spike look, that just it's like that episode of Seinfeld where Elaine's friend has that hairdo from like the 60s, and she's trying to get her friend to change it, and like that's how I feel. Like the spiked hair is for little kids. It's not the greatest look for grown men.
Yeah, I don't on special occasions, like I have it's not pomade. What is it? Like clay? You know what I'm talking? Like
I use that stuff.
Just to kind of hold it in place, because otherwise it gets kind of all over. Glucose in the chat. Glucose, it's so good to see you, buddy. Thanks for coming in. He says, have a shaved head, easiest to clean and super cheap. That is one thing. I have never shaved my head. I'm very worried to think of what's underneath all this.
Well, then you shave it and it's not going to come back, just like Seinfeld.
That's true. I'm afraid I'd shave it and have like, I don't know, like a birthmark the size of Texas somewhere, and then I'd be all self-conscious about it and have to wear a hat or something. I don't know, but
no, not you, Justin.
No.
Yeah.
So there you go. The only other hot take I had, Blink-182 announced they are coming back for their reunion tour. Tom DeLonge is back. He has taken a break from his deep dive into like looking for aliens and stuff. I don't know if you knew he was into that, Vinny.
Yes. Yeah, I remember that because he released that footage
of
the plane chasing that unidentified aircraft
or whatever they call it now. Yeah. So they're back. I'm really excited. So Eric and I are like all set on getting tickets. The last time we went to go see them in concert, your sister almost got in a fight with a bunch of teenagers, which is
documented on this podcast.
On this podcast as well for posterity. And I just got to say, hot take. I don't even know if it's a hot take. Ticketmaster and ticket resale sites absolutely suck. They're awful. God awful.
I don't necessarily agree with that.
No?
I don't know. Like, I guess I don't.
I just, all the surcharges and.
Well, that's,
like Ticketmaster in particular.
You have to find, you have to scour the numerous ones to find the lowest price. And
there was one, shout out to our guys over at CHGO. I reached out to them because they're one of their sponsors. I believe it's called Game Time. Their app was really good. Wasn't a lot of markup, and we found tickets for like 130 in the 300 levels at the United Center.
Okay.
Which I have no problem sitting in the United Center because that's where I pretty much grew up watching Hawks games, and in high school and college too. But I know your sister wanted to sit a little bit lower. And
of course she did.
So she's like, well, let's wait and see until another pre-sale thing opens, and I'm going to see. I'm like, okay. I'm like, we'll see. But Vinny, I'm kind of curious. The last concert you went to, do you remember how much you spent on the tickets?
It was Dave Matthews. I think it was around like $50 to $80.
Okay, perfect. So Erica, and for those that are listening, my wife, Vinny's sister, we're like, all right, we want to go to the show in May when it comes to Chicago. She goes, well, how much do you want to spend? And I said, I don't know, like 50, 60, maybe $80. That sounds about
right. Oh, God. I know. I've seen the price of those tickets.
I know. And she looks at me and she just starts laughing. And I said, what? Is that too much money? And that made her laugh even louder.
Yeah.
She goes, no, like to get tickets, we're talking like $200 to $300. And I'm like, oh, like my wallet just hurt.
Yeah.
And I'm like, she goes, oh, you don't want to know how much I spent on Backstreet Boys tickets. I'm like, nope, don't tell me because I'm going to cringe.
Oh, my gosh.
This is why it's a good thing we have separate bank accounts. But anyway, it got me thinking. I'm like, you know what? Everyone says spend money on experiences, not things. I'm like, all right, we can spend a little bit more. We need an adult night out because we have not had one since Maddie's been born, which was a year ago this week. So we'll see. Hopefully we can nail down some tickets. But, yeah, that's my hot take for the week. So
nice.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's real quick before we get on with the show, we'd like to thank our partner In the Clutch for joining up with us here on Baseball and Whatever. In the Clutch is an awesome sports apparel company that is known for their license to MLB, Negro League, and MLS apparel, along with great shirts to rep your favorite retro hockey, baseball, and football teams. Even better, head to intheclutch.com right now and at checkout, use promo code baseball and what, all one word, and you will get 10% off your order. So once again, intheclutch.com. Head to checkout, use promo code baseball and what, and get 10% off your order. You will not be disappointed. Thank you again to the folks over at In the Clutch. All right, Vinny, let's get to the baseball talk.
Baseball.
Welcome back to Major League Baseball. Sort of.
Taking a look at Chicago's two favorite teams and other happenings around the MLB.
All right. I'll be honest. The baseball portion of the show is really going to start to be slim pickings, especially as the Chicago teams have definitely winded down. But, Vinny, you have an update on the White Sox minor league player of the year, correct?
Yeah. The White Sox player of the year is Colson Montgomery. And through Class A, he slashed 295, 408, 450 for a OPS of 858. Had a really good year. I think he's only 20 years old, if I'm not mistaken. So he's their number one prospect. So it's not too surprising that he's the player of the year in their organization.
Yeah, and I think that closes the book on the White Sox.
I got a couple more things.
All right, go ahead.
Well, the White Sox did interview Joe Espada.
Yes, from the Astros,
Houston Astros. Which I didn't realize that teams still in could be interviewed.
Yeah.
I think that happens every year though, but it's kind of surprised me that happened. But yeah, I guess the word on the street is that what's his name, Rick Hahn, is getting a bigger seat at the table within his own organization, and making the decision on the manager. The next manager. So we'll see about that.
What a concept to let your GM have a bigger decision on the manager.
Right? Well, I don't know if you were listening to Parkins and Spiegel this week, but they had the what's his name? Sampson from the old GM of the Marlins. I can't think of his full name, but he was down there when Ozzie was the manager of the Marlins.
David Sampson is his name.
David Sampson, that's right. But yeah, he was going on and saying that he didn't think Ozzie would be the right fit, and he kind of, when they asked him the question if they think Ozzie would be a good fit for the White Sox, and he said no, and then he gave his response as if he was talking directly to Ozzie, and he had said something along the lines of, the reason why you were let go, there was stuff that we knew behind the scenes that we didn't leak out publicly. You're a great person, Ozzie, blah blah blah, but you aren't the right person for the job. And that was they pushed to get more out of him, and he didn't respond.
Wow, there's something there then for sure.
And I remember him not leaving under, like, there was a lot of crap that went on.
There was the Castro comments and all that.
Yeah. So there might have been even more. And I know a lot of people are excited. I know that's Greg's guy, but I was just, I just don't. Another retread for a guy that hasn't been in the game, that I think the game's passed by. I don't necessarily agree with bringing Ozzie back, but I thought that was an interesting little anecdote there from somebody that had been dealing with Ozzy during his last managerial days. So
that's
I don't know if that's, I mean, there's rumors people are saying on Twitter, although most of them are probably from accounts that are just making stuff up, that Ozzy, there's rumblings of Ozzy coming back as manager. I can't imagine that he'd come back as manager because Kenny Williams is still there, and
they do not.
That
like
was
each
kind
other.
of the big reason why he left to the first place and burned some bridges there. So yeah, I can't imagine he'd come back. But Joe Espada's been interviewed, and supposedly Joe Madden's next on the list.
Yeah.
Which, they really like to go after those old guys where the game's clearly passed him by. No offense to Joe Madden or anything, he brought a World Series to the Cubs, but I mean, this last 2 seasons with the Angels have not been good for him.
No, not good. I thought it was very interesting. Since we're talking about the White Sox, not the White Sox managerial position, but first off, in addition to Joe Madden, there's been a couple other websites, and Jesse Rogers, who is the ESPN Chicago Sports used to be Cubs. I think he's just all baseball now for White Sox and Cubs. But he said the White Sox are interviewing Astros bench coach Joe Espada, which you said. They've also reached out to Ron Washington, who is the Braves third base coach and former Texas Rangers manager from 13, 14 years ago at this point. And supposedly they've reached out to Mike Schilt, who was the Cardinals manager that won Manager of the Year and then probably got fired by the best organization in baseball, the Cardinals.
Yeah.
I'm saying that with sarcasm.
That's interesting. It's a lot of retreads. I mean, Schilt's probably the most successful one, I guess. Of the Ron Washington's been great and players love him. He's another older guy, but he's still in the game, I guess. So that's a positive outside of getting Joe Madden or Ozzie Guillen or Bruce Bochy. All these guys that Bruce Bochy and Ozzie have been out of the game for a while, and I mean, Joe Madden just got fired this year, so I don't know what's gonna happen. It'll be interesting. We'll see what happens when Bob Nightingale announces the next manager.
Well, I thought it was funny. They had Joe Madden on. He was on CHGO today. I have not listened to it, but he's on the CHGO podcast. I need to download it and listen to it this weekend. And he was on The Score with, I believe, was it Lawrence Holmes and Layla Brahimi this week? I can't remember which show on The Score he was on, but he was also on, he's been making the rounds because his new book, The Book of Joe, is out. And he was quoted on one of the radio stations saying, "I want analytics in the game, no question, 100%. It's very useful in a variety of ways, but it's infiltrating the clubhouse so much that there's so much for the players to hold on to. Everybody's really becoming the same. It's the same product, whatever city you're living in. At one point, the Cubs had an identity. The White Sox were the White Sox back in the day. The Yankees still may be the Bombers. The Dodgers were always known for pitching. The Cardinals had speed, but now everyone wants to play the same game, and it's getting to be too much." I don't know. The one thing he talked about on The Score out here this week was that he did not like that people in the front office in the analytics department were coming down and talking to the players. He did not like that at all. He said, if you have something you want me to tell them, you come to me, and then I will disseminate this information to the players. But he did not want front office executives coming down and talking to the players, which I can't blame him. I get his point, but
yeah,
I don't know if that's where baseball is right now, so you're kind of stuck.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't get the whole each team has to have their own identity. I mean, each team is trying to win a World Series, and they're gonna do whatever successful teams do, and that doesn't. I mean, so of course teams are gonna have their own identity. Oh, I want to be a speed team and not hit home runs, and like you can't do that. Like, I don't know, that's just a little silly. To want teams to have their own identity. I mean, not every player is the same. You're gonna, some teams are gonna be more heavy. They're gonna have bigger hitters, and some teams are gonna be built for more contact. But I mean, to say that they need to have that as an identity, I think that's kind of silly.
I agree. All right. Well, I guess that we'll see. Well, I'm sure we'll have more updates as the week goes on from the White Sox in terms of their managerial solutions and who's coming and who's going. Real quick, if we transition over to the Cubs, Todd Ricketts announced his state of the Cubs. What did I say?
You
Todd?
said Todd?
I meant to say Tom.
Yeah.
Sorry, man. I don't know if I'm tired or a cold or what, but I am really slacking here. Anyway, let's try that again. Tom Ricketts. This is all amateur hour. As I write down the time code there. Tom Ricketts released his State of the Union address for the Cubs and where they're at. So I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I do want to read some of it because I thought it was very interesting. And then I don't know, Vinny, we can talk about Jed Hoyer's press conference, which was with that as well. I'm going to read this in my best Tom Ricketts voice. Here we go. Cubs fans, this past season ended too soon. While we knew 2022 was going to be a year of transition, we were cautiously optimistic with our offseason moves we could compete for a spot in the expanded postseason format. Obviously, our poor start ended those hopes early in the season. Yet, as I look back, 2022 felt like two different seasons. The first half of the year was defined by young players struggling to adjust to everyday roles and injuries that exposed a lack of overall team depth. Yes. However, the second half of the season had a much different feel. It showcased young players, particularly young pitchers, growing into their own roles and competing hard at every game. 100% agree, which pains me because I do not like Tom Ricketts just in general. Goes on. There's 7, 8, 9, 10 more paragraphs, but pretty much he said, there's positive momentum. Jed Hoyer and his team are building an expansive core of young, high-ceiling players while making investments in infrastructure and technology to help them reach their maximum potential. We will be active in free agency and have the necessary resources available to substantially supplement our current roster. As Jed has demonstrated, we will be driven by an intelligent decision-making process as we build the roster that can win games in the postseason year in and year out. All right. Before I throw it to you, because I think your take and I are going to be similar, but there's a couple things here. First, I'm of two minds of this, and I feel like it's literally two monkeys in my brain fighting over which going to be the more articulate point here. This is the dumbest analogy I can think of, but I'll try dumber later. Hold on. But okay, so he talks about we want to have sustained success and we want to build for the future so that we can keep reloading as opposed to rebuilding. Yes, great. Frustrating thing, I heard that 10 years ago, so it's really frustrating to hear it again because that was the same thing. However, I think we can all agree that Theo Epstein, thankful he came, thankful he brought a World Series to Chicago, but he also wasn't the best at some of his things like free agency, and once the core of the Cubs came up, they never restocked the farm system. And I know that's hard to do when you're winning, but you should still be able to find diamonds in the rough in the draft and keep supplementing your lower minor leagues. So I'm of two minds there. The other thing is him saying we will have the money to go forward. Great. Happy to see that. And I know people were going after that comment about, well, you didn't have the money last season, but part of me, and this pains me because like I said, I don't like Tom Ricketts. They did spend a lot of money on Stroman and Seiya Suzuki last year.
Yep.
Now, did the Jonathan VRs and what other awful signings that we thought
Andrelton Simmons?
Oh, that was another bad one. Did they all pan out? No, but I think Seiya really is going to be awesome for years to come. Stroman looked lights out that second half of the season. I really hope he's around for the long haul. I know he's only got 2 years left, I think, on his contract. It was a shorter contract. So as pessimistic as I want to be, listening to this article or diatribe from Tom Ricketts, it's actually really promising going forward. I don't know how you felt about it.
Yep. Did you listen to Jed's presser at all?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
A little bit.
I guess we can kind of talk about that too, since they kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah.
But I know Jed's presser opened up with him talking about how he misses October baseball and kind of that same thing that Tom had talked about. It's not fun sitting on the sidelines pretty much and watching instead of being there. Your team's in it, you're rooting for your team, but you have to sit on the sidelines. He doesn't like missing October baseball, which was good to hear. He said they had to be better at base running, which I totally agree. I think they had a lot of two blondes.
Yes, they did.
I want to say they led the majors in it, but I just remember early on in the year they had way too many, and it still was an issue by the end of the season. Not nearly as bad, but still not good enough. And he did mention in his presser looking to extend players, and it was kind of hard to hear the questions being asked, but I didn't know which players. I'm assuming that they were talking about maybe Happ and Contreras, maybe Nico, but I'm assuming it was Contreras and Happ since they were going to
start
two closest to
negotiations. Yeah.
Yep, with them. So that's promising to hear. And again, he mentioned spending intelligently. I guess, I take that for what it's worth. They're not going to just throw out a ton of money, but they're going to try to find the best, what makes the most sense for them, which I get. We'll see what that brings in. I get him saying that. That's his way of having a cop out if, contracts don't go his way.
Right.
And so, with that, we should all understand that he does have a budget.
Yes, that's true.
Baseball, there is no salary cap, but we know from past that there's a budget for Jed and the front office of the Chicago Cubs, whether you like it or not. There is one, and he understands that, and he knows that he can't cripple himself with a Jason Hayward type contract that's not going to work out, and he has to be smart about giving a contract out to a player like that where, you're betting on the future being good, whereas signing someone like Bryce Harper, like the Phillies did, that contract made sense because Bryce Harper's really good.
Yes.
Mike Trout's really good, although Mike Trout's had injury issues, and that's something that was there before. So, it's just his way of kind of giving a safeguard to saying, well, that wasn't an intelligent contract. Okay. But we'll see what they do this offseason. They have holes to fill. There's players out there that they can get. Really, I would like them to get one of the shortstops. I would like them to get one of the, starting pitchers on the market. And then they need to supplement maybe getting, I would like to see Jose Abreu, with the Cubs and have him with Matt Mervis and platooning. Jose Abreu's not a player that probably can play every day, but he plays great in Wrigley. His stats are amazing. I think he's hitting over 400 at Wrigley. So obviously he hits well there. It would be good to have that. He is a leader in the clubhouse with the White Sox, so it'd be good to have that veteran leadership, especially with Jason Hayward not going to be around anymore. He was kind of that veteran voice in the clubhouse, so it'd be good to have him there and platooning with Matt Mervis. I almost said Merton, but platooning
that's going to happen
Matt,
a lot.
Yeah, with Matt Mervis at first base, and if they get one of the shortstops like Correa or I guess Turner, they could either move to third or second. I don't know how that would go. They would still need a third baseman. Maybe you just run it back with Patrick Wisdom and have Morel there as well, because he's a third. Yeah, I think he's traditionally a third baseman. I don't know if it's third or second baseman, but
he's been all over, it seems like.
Yeah, and so you have him as well. So I don't know. They do have some work to do. It should be interesting though. Tom saying that there's going to be a substantial amount of funds for him to use. That means that they should be back to the top 5 in baseball, I would assume, or top 10 in baseball on the salary and team salary next year. So it should be interesting for Cub fans.
It should. It's a really exciting time, and I think the one saving grace this time around is there's really a focus on pitching, where I feel like with Theo's regime, it was just, yes, we had Hendricks come up, and then it was, all right, we're going to sign Lester, sign Lackey, sign, Jason Hamill. It was all guys that were brought in. It wasn't sustainable because you didn't have anybody coming really up from the minors that weren't just occasionally thrown in the bullpen, and then that didn't pan out. So, yeah, as pessimistic as I want to be, I am excited for the season. I'm excited for Hot Stove baseball talk to start is that December normally, I think? First week of December? So that'll be here before we know it, but it'll be something exciting because, like we've documented very well here, the rest of Chicago sports is god awful. Yes. And if you haven't done a check-in real quick on the Bears game, Vinny, don't bother.
They're losing.
It's not good. All right. Real quick, did you want to mention Matt Mervis and Luis Devers, who were their minor league players, what their stats were?
Yes, they're Cubs minor league players. Matt Mervis, Matt Merton Mervis hit 36 home runs and hit 309 across 3 levels this year. He is the Cubs minor league hitter of the year. Minor league pitcher of the year is Luis Devers. He went 13-3, had a 1.91 ERA, struck out 122 in 117 and a third innings pitched. Between low A and high A this year, Matt Mervis's 36 home runs was the most home runs since Chris Bryant set the record with 43, I believe. Wow. 43 in 2014. So. Yeah, good for Matt Mervis. We'll see if he gets a look next year. Obviously, he's going to get a look in spring training, and hopefully he makes the team. It's good for him.
Yeah, and it's cool, too, is that a lot of these big prospects for the Cubs, they're not all going to come up at one time like they did in 2015, 2014, right around that time?
2016, yeah.
Yeah, so, Pete Crow Armstrong is still a ways away. Brennan Davis, we'll see.
Should be here next year if everything goes well
Matt
with his
Mervis,
rehab.
hopefully next year, and you have other guys in lower parts of the farm system. So hopefully it's staggered and it just keeps replenishing itself. And, thankfully they have done a lot of changes in their farm system scouting because you don't have Jason McLeod there anymore because I don't know what he was doing when he was there. Not for him to be
getting
a fall
Theo
guy,
coffee.
I almost said shaken or stirred. That's Bond. You want cream, Mr. Epstein? All right, real quick, before we get to football and then ultimately our least favorite sports franchise as a discussion, playoff series so far, I am so happy the Cardinals are out. What a shame. The end of the Yadi Molina and Albert Pujols, I never have to see, or, well, we'll definitely hear about them again, but I never have to see them each play again, I'm assuming. Fingers crossed. And that is just me being an unabashed Cubs fan. I know we'll get to Glucose's comments later in the worst franchises. He brought up the Cardinals, and we'll talk about what he had to say, but yeah, so long. Don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out. Couldn't happen to a better franchise. The Blue Jays, the Mariners took them out very quickly, which was kind of surprising. I know our hockey, NHL, and Blue Jay correspondent Jay Kahn took it pretty hard, it sounded like. But they'll be back next season. I think they have nowhere to go but up with their young core. But really, before we get to the series that are going on right now, Vinny, what was your take on this whole thing with the Mets, Buck Showalter making the umps check Joe Musgrove's ears for a foreign substance?
I don't know. He was pitching well against him, so I guess is that a little showmanship or gamesmanship to try to throw him off because that's something you can do now to delay him, have him sit there and think a little bit. His ear did look a little funky.
They were like reddish, yeah.
Yeah, it looked almost inflamed too, but I don't stare at Joe Musgrove's ears to know what they exactly look like. But they were shiny.
Nice, yeah.
And that's people are, well, why is it so shiny? Well, it's sweaty, there's bright lights on it. And if he I think was it Andrew McCutcheon came out and said that guys put icy hot or something along. I think it was like some icy hot type cream on their ears to keep they do it to keep themselves mentally locked
focused,
in, I guess. And then I guess it also went on. So I don't know if it was another player or he went on to say that some guys put them in their jock straps too or something like that. I forgot who came out and said that, but I'm pretty sure that was also mentioned by a player too, that they put that, down in their private area.
Yes.
I mean, whatever. People were talking about his spin rate being up.
It was elevated. That much I know.
But everybody's spin rate's been up, and all pitchers have been. It's all been up. His was no bigger percentage increase than any other pitcher in the playoffs. So whatever. I mean,
I would like to see if this is going to become more prevalent, which maybe it won't, maybe it will. I don't know. But like, if you make a call like that and there's a game, delay because they're checking, I would love to see, like, if you're wrong in Buck Showalter's case, like, what could be not alternative, but what could be like the ultimatum? Like, all right, you made this call, we went out and checked, you were wrong, there's nothing wrong with him. What can they do now to kind of like deter that from just being some gamesmanship? I don't know, because I know in hockey, if you do something like that, you get a penalty for delay a game. If you make a coach's challenge and you're wrong, you get a delay a game penalty that you have to have somebody serve. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm just curious. I don't know what you do.
Yeah, you only get one chance to check,
and that's
I guess. I don't know for a pitcher, and if that's but I don't know. I don't know what you can do to deter that.
Well, we'll see. In terms of the games right now, I'm really bummed. Seattle lost today. They are down 2-0 to Houston, which, Zach, if you're still in the chat, I'm pulling for your Mariners. I think they are like the feel-good story of the playoffs so far. Cleveland, the Guardians, are down 1-0 in the Yankees series, which I was shocked. What's his name? Chapman was left off the playoff roster in the Yankees.
Yeah.
So that's the end of an era there. The Phillies and Braves are tied at 1 apiece. The Dodgers and Padres are tied at 1 apiece. I gotta say that this Padres team, especially after the way they handled the checking of the errors. They remind me of like the White Sox. Like, we have some swag. Like, don't mess with us. Like they're like circle the wagons and batten down the hatches kind of team. They're fun to watch too. So. I don't know. We'll see.
Who was that?
The Padres, just in general.
Oh, yeah. And that's a good series, too, between the Padres and the Dodgers.
Yes.
So,
it's kind of like a big brother, little brother situation out there in California.
Yep.
So.
Yeah.
Zach writes in the chat, I hope the Mariners win the next 3 games. If not, it was a good run this year. Yeah, Zach, you're right. You got to start somewhere. They were so close last season, didn't make it. This season, they get over the hump, and hopefully – next season, if they don't make it this year, next season they come back, win another wild card spot. He says, dang, got some spam in the chat. Yes, I just had to block that person because there's some spam in the chat. But anyway, yeah, I fingers crossed. We'll see. I would love the Yankees-Guardians series. I don't really have a dog in that race. I guess I want the Phillies to win just because I want to see Kyle Schwarber win. I hate the Dodgers, so I'd like to see the Padres win. And then obviously I can't stand the Houston Astros. So guess I'll go with the go with the I have to go with the Padres there, but not the Padres, Mariners. Sorry. I got nothing else on baseball. You got anything else, Vinny?
I'm good.
All right, let's get to some football real quick then.
Manures of the Midway, where the guys talk the pile of horse crap that is the Chicago Bears.
When you consider the other choices, manure is actually pretty refreshing.
And boy, oh boy, are the Bears a load of crap this season. Holy cow. Vinny, you know more about football than I do. I know you watch them much more than I do. Where do you want to start?
Well, last week I wasn't able to watch them. I was listening to the game, and I actually missed most of the second half. I pretty much I probably listened to maybe 1% of the second half. My son wanted to go for a bike ride and then wanted to stop at a park. So
that was more time better spent. I would agree.
Yes, it was. But they did make their comeback in the second half. So I did miss that. So maybe I was the reason for their failures since I was listening.
I don't know. I think it's more beyond than you. I don't think you have to worry too much about that, but.
I know that when the game started, I was really concerned that was going to be one of their worst games of the season just because Justin Jefferson seemed like he could do whatever he wanted to do.
Yep.
But they ended up shutting him down. I don't think he had his most receptions in his career that game, but he didn't really do too much. I thought he was going to break all sorts of receiving records during that game. So, oh, look at that. Dr. Condom, my son is always wanting bike rides to the park. Yep, my son too, especially when the weather's nice. But yeah, I thought Justin Jefferson was going to break all sorts of receiving records that game, and they ended up shutting him down for the most part, for as good as the Bears could. And Justin Fields did look looking at the highlights, he looked pretty comfortable during that game. The Bears' offensive line is just complete trash. I know the QB school broke them down, and at one point he was saying that the center doesn't even know he's playing tackle football right now. And then Sam Mustipher literally during that play kind of like stands up and is like not running. He's like kind of like looking around like, who am I supposed to block? And that whole left side, or I think it was, the left side with Braxton Jones, Lucas Patrick was filling in for Cody Whitehair, which is going to be a huge loss for the Bears. And Sam Mustipher, they were all blocking everything was wrong on that side, and Sam Mustipher just needs to be on the bench. They need to get Lucas Patrick in there snapping the ball, and they just need to get Sam Mustipher out because he is on skates almost every single play, or he is completely lost. But Justin Fields looked more comfortable in the pocket, even though it wasn't as good. He had his best game ever in the NFL. And yeah, it was a really good game. I was really hoping he was going to really build on it against the Washington Commanders. And the game, it just ended and it was 12-7. And he
what a god awful game! Oh my god!
Yeah, and the thing was the Bears had the ball down on the 5-yard line there with like less than a minute to go, and they couldn't convert on 4th and 5. They completed a pass and it only went for, it was 4th and 4 actually, or yeah, 4th and 4 goal. It was on the 4-yard line. They only got 3 yards instead of 4. It's just
they're awful.
Yeah,
and I know we talked about it before the show started. It's like you want to be able to assess Justin Fields, and like you said very poignantly, that progress is not linear. There's going to be ups and downs, but what complicates it more is the team that he is surrounded with is so bad.
Yep.
You can't get a good grasp on, like tonight, like that last drive. If he had decent people around him and a line that wasn't a sieve, could they have made something? Would the score have been 12-7? Probably not.
I mean, if they would have kicked 2 field goals in the first half instead of having a turnover and then going for it on 4th and 1, if they would have just taken the points, gotten the points. Or even if they would have kicked the field goal instead of going for it, that would have been, it would have been 10-12, and then they would have kicked a field goal there at the end of the game, and they would have won 13-12.
Yep.
It's just, I guess it's being aggressive. People want him to be aggressive, and it backfired. My take is you don't turn away points. You get points any way you can, but again, this season is for nothing really. They're learning how to play football. They're learning how to win. This coaching staff is all young. They're learning how to coach. So if you're going to go for it, go for it. Figure out what might work in the future and what doesn't work right. What won't work in the future. So yeah, the wins and losses don't matter. You want to see progression. The problem is progression isn't linear. One player who is actually surprising me with how well he's been progressing is their rookie Kyler Gordon. The cornerback. He's been playing very well on the outside after having a rough start to the season. First 3 games. The last 2 games have been pretty good. He was good tonight. I saw him make some plays tonight where he looked well. So there's going to be progressions. It would have been great if Justin Fields would have hit 300 yards. 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. It just didn't happen tonight. It wasn't a great game by him by any means. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't like the Houston game, but if you looked at who Houston played last week, they played the Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence did not have a great game. He had a pitiful game. I think he had 2 interceptions in that game, no touchdowns thrown. So he also struggled against Houston, where Justin Fields did too, which just I think proves that Houston's actually got a better defense that people give him credit for. So yeah, it's just
it's sheer exasperation.
Yeah, it is what it is. He looked great last week. He looked okay this week. He still looked comfortable in the pocket. He was taking some big hits too tonight, which is not what you want to see your franchise quarterback doing, which again is a testament to this line not protecting him. They just got to get better on the line before anything. And I know last week in the Vikings game, there were drop passes all around from his receivers. That's what Dante Pettis, that's what you're brought in to do, is catch the ball. If you can't catch the ball, then what are you doing on the team? And I know a lot of people were giving Amir Marset Smith a lot of crap for not running out of bounds. He's a second-year player trying to make a play. Even Justin Fields said that, which was kudos to him for standing up for his player. He could have easily thrown him under the bus. But he's a young player trying to make a play against his former team. In hindsight, he should have stepped out of bounds, and but it happens. That's what happens with young players. So I'm glad the Bears didn't cut him. They're going to give him another chance. Obviously if he's still making that, makes that mistake again, then you probably cut him, but you don't cut him after one mistake and he's a rookie. Now, veteran does that. You probably cut him. He should know better.
Yeah. Well, and it's not like they have all these other wide receivers just waiting in line to step up, So.
N'Keal Harry's going to be coming back soon. He
true.
just came off the IR, so we'll see. Again, it's going to be a struggle. They're going to have bad games, obviously. It's a young team. They're all learning. They're all being coached up. Hopefully by the end of the year, there's going to be upside there, and they're going to be playing a lot better. But we'll see. I don't have much outside of that. We'll see. And it was a good game last week. Tonight, unfortunately, was a clunker. But teams don't play well on Thursday nights. It would have been nice if this was a Sunday game, and they had that full week of rest. But they'll have a full week. They'll have extra rest coming into next week. So hopefully, I don't know who they play next week. Is the Cowboys or Patriots? Okay, so that will be a good game because the Patriots just shut out the best offense in the NFL and the Detroit Lions. So we'll see. That'll be a good test for Fields. I'm sure Belichick will have plenty of stuff up his sleeve for Justin Fields. So that'll be an interesting game. So I'm looking forward to that one.
That it will. You nailed it. I got nothing else to say. Should we get to something more fun to talk about than Bears football and
hockey
garbage? No, we don't need to talk about hockey. The Blackhawks are awful.
Is there a mantra for this year? Is there like a tank for Tua? Because you were saying that the kid is
tank for. I'm trying to think what the slogan is. The player in particular, the number one pick that is supposed to be a generational talent, is named Connor Bedard, and I want to say it was like "Tank for Connor" is the slogan that's going around now.
That's not a good one. Come on, that's unoriginal.
It is. I agree. The Tank for Bedard, which
we'll have to spitball and come out with a better one.
By next week, we'll have something.
We'll try to get it trending because Tank for Connor.
Concussions
or Bedard
for Connor. I don't know. Something.
What was it?
Concussions for Connor. I have no idea.
I don't know about
kind of
that.
Rough. Yeah, I don't know. We don't need to go that route. They're really bad. And last night was I tuned into the game after I was running on the treadmill, and at the 5 minutes left in the second period, they had 5 shots on goal. Now, granted, they were playing the Avalanche, who are amazing and the former defending Stanley Cup champions. But tonight they play Vegas, and I'm guessing they're going to lose that game too. I think they play them. They're playing them right now, actually, and they are tied 0-0 going in the second. I am shocked.
Oh, look out!
Stop the presses. I don't know how many shots they got. How many shots? Wow, they have more. They have 12 shots total. Good for them. So yeah, we don't even need to get into that. Maybe next week we'll reintroduce our Bulls segment. I'm on the Bulls bandwagon this season, so.
There you go.
That's it. Let's get to the whatever. Let's go.
Now it's time for whatever.
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 Whatever you want. Whatever I want.
Whatever, dude. Irrelevant. Whatever, dude.
All right, Vinny, I'm going to throw it to you. If you want to take this over again, go for it.
Welcome to whatever baseball and whatever.
A+. Well done.
Hey, there we go. This week we are counting down or doing top 5 lists of our least favorite sports franchises that we dislike wholeheartedly, with every fiber of our being. Stop short of hate, I guess.
Yes, I guess hate it. For something like sports that is so trivial and meaningless in the
and when. Well, I mean, hate's an okay word when you're using it against an inanimate object, but
sure.
The sports franchises, there's people behind it. There's players and fan bases, and
they're not
And I think one of someone tweeted out on ours that it's not necessarily as you get older the franchise, it's more of the fan bases that we don't like. So. Hello, Mr. Locke. Is that John Locke?
It's I was just going to say, that's the only Locke I know is John Locke from The Office.
I mean, Richard Locke, his son, or?
I don't know.
Something. I don't know.
Let us know.
But okay, Justin, since Greg's not here, I'll have you kick off your number 5 of your...
All right. All right. Well, thank you, Locke. Keep doing what you're doing. Great work. Thank you very much.
Thank
you.
We
appreciate that. All right. Franchises we can't stand or fan bases we don't like. This one, honestly, if you would have talked to me like 15 years ago, this probably would have been my number 1. But they have dropped to 5 now just because they are no longer in the division or the conference, and we only see them. I hate when people do that. The team in question does not see them anymore because they're not in the same franchise, whatever you want to talk, conference. And that is the Detroit Red Wings.
Okay.
As a Blackhawks fan, unabashed, cannot stand the Detroit Red Wings, primarily because as a kid in the 90s and the early 2000s, when they were god-awful, the Red Wings would come in and just wipe the floor with the Hawks. Closest, divisional rival when they were in the division with us, and also in the Western Conference before they switched conferences. And also so good. Back-to-back Stanley Cups in the 90s. Sergei Fedorov and Steve Yzerman and
Brett Hull.
Brett Hull was on the very good, Vinny. Nice pull.
Yeah,
they had
that team was amazing.
They were.
Now, was that before they had a salary cap, or what was that deal? Because they had a lot of big name players, I remember.
Yes, the NHL salary cap started with the 05-06 lockout. So yeah, they did not have a cap yet then. You could just sign as much as you want. And Mike Ilitch, was the owner, I don't know who owns them now because he passed away, also owner of the Detroit Tigers, or was the owner of the Detroit Tigers, but and creator of Little Caesars Pizza. That man just keeps giving to everybody.
Little Caesars isn't that good.
He also paid. It didn't come out till after he died. He paid for Rosa Parks' rent for a long time.
Interesting. Good for him.
Good for him. Very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, I couldn't stand them. And also going back to the fan base stuff, the amount of Red Wings fans that would come to Blackhawks games would significantly outnumber Hawks fans in the early 2000s because they were so bad. And the Red Wings fans, the other thing that pissed me off so much is, even if you went to a Hawks game, say that it was like a Thursday night, and thank you, Locke. Have a great night, man.
Thank you,
Thanks
Mr.
for coming in.
Locke.
We appreciate it. Even when the Hawks were playing on like a Thursday night against, I don't know, the Vancouver Canucks, you would still see all these Red Wings fans come to the game, and they would just start shit in the stands all the time. There'd be fights all the time with Hawks and Red Wings fans, even when they weren't Red Wings games. Yes. So that is my number 5. I feel like the peak of that was like when they played at Wrigley, Red Wings Hawks, and the Wings beat them. But now not as big of a deal anymore, just because they don't play each other. The Hawks are bad.
Yeah.
The Red Wings have been bad for a long time. They're on their way up now, but yeah, that's my number 5.
Okay, nice. Now, why did they realign? Why did they realign them?
They realigned, I believe it was when the Atlanta Thrashers relocated back, or not back to, but they relocated and the Winnipeg Jets came back. So the Jets came in, went west, and then Detroit got to go east.
Okay.
So I believe that was it.
All right. Okay. I was just curious to that because, it didn't seem like a good realignment for them.
Not at all.
So my number 5, and this was kind of I had like the first couple locked in, and then it's just kind of like, I don't dislike a lot of teams, and also I don't go to a lot of games, to to like really have a feeling of fans and other people's fans and stuff like that. But number 5 for me is the Dallas Cowboys, only because it's
America's team.
That's exactly. Well, why? Where? When? It was done before I was born. But why do they get that title as America's team? They haven't won a playoff game since what, the 90s? I mean, geez, the Bears have gone to the Super Bowl before the Cowboys have even won a playoff game. That's pretty pathetic. Yeah. So I don't get that whole mantra, the America's team, because they stink. I liked them when Emmitt Smith and Michael Irvin and Deion Sanders were on the Cowboys. Like, I really liked that team. That was one of my favorite NFL teams of all time. But still, America's team, really? The Dallas Cowboys? Is it because they're Cowboys and they have but they're still called that. They're called that every week, and they get the primetime games because they're America's team, and they're always overrated, I feel like. But they're playing well this year, but they're just, I don't. Whatever. Number 5 is because I don't get it. The Dallas Cowboys.
I don't get it. I feel like I come and go. Jerry Jones, as an owner, it seems like he would drive me nuts if I was a Cowboys fan. But from an outside perspective,
he's their GM too.
Yes, he is. I kind of like him. Like he's kind of crazy and goofy, and I don't know. Maybe he's some horrible human being. I don't know, but kind of like him. Dak Prescott, I kind of like. I don't know. I mean, they're not anything major to write home about. Yet they still carry that persona from the 90s.
Like I don't. Yeah, and I don't hate the team. I just hate that America. That mantra, America's team. Like, what? I don't. Dallas Cowboys, really?
And I like their color scheme if we're going to get into like the graphic design aspects.
I like that too.
But their logo is boring as hell.
Yeah.
The star.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just me. But yeah, give me Troy Aikman and Emmitt Smith any day. But yeah.
Troy Aikman's overrated.
Yeah, a little bit. Him and Joe Buck, though, they're doing their ESPN thing now, so. Yeah. That's an interesting number. That's an interesting number 5, though. I think it's a good number 5. I like it. I like it.
All right, thank you. Do you have a number 4, Justin?
I do.
Just 1 or 2?
No, just 1. I do have 3 honorable mentions, but we'll get to those at the end. We don't need to get to those now. My number 4. We're sticking in the NHL. Just because that's besides baseball, that's my sport I focus on. But with the Red Wings moving out of the conference, another team had to kind of take that divisional rival role that was always kind of just on the back burner, and that is the St. Louis Blues. I do not like them.
Good one.
They play they did win the Stanley Cup, and then a little bit different, but they play a very physical game. Kind of like, for a while, it felt like they were cheap shot artists all the time. Dirty, yes. And I don't like dirty hockey. I don't like dirty players. I'm all for physical, but cheap shots and crap like that, I can't stand that. And the Hawks, I know they are not innocent either. They've done things as well. But yeah, there was a game. I want to say it was like Easter Sunday. This would have been like maybe 2010 because we still lived in Oak Lawn at the time. I might have still lived at home. I don't know. But I remember it was like Easter Sunday or Easter weekend, and like they were just taking pot shots. And this was when the Hawks were really good and getting ready. They were amping up for another playoff run because it was April, And like the end of the game, like it was just a full out like line brawl. Like guys were fighting left and right. They were throwing haymakers because I think the Hawks finally had enough. And like it was exciting to watch as a meathead hockey fan, but. Yeah, I don't like. They've always just seemed like cheap shot artists. They have a bunch. They've had players that, not real big fans of, and yeah, I don't like them. And maybe it's a St. Louis thing too. I love the city of St. Louis. Like when I've gone there, I've had nothing but fun. But their franchises, I'm not a fan of. So
okay.
So there you go.
I can see that.
4. St. Louis
They popped
Blues.
in my head when I was
they?
coming up with this list. Yeah, but I'm not, I'm not the big hockey guy.
And-
but that
and
was
I-
like, gosh, if I could pick a hockey one, that was
That'd be the
like
one.
the one that popped up.
Yeah, and I mean, to their credit, they've stepped up. They are definitely a bigger rival now than the Red Wings. And there was that short period of time where the Hawks and Blues were both very good, and there was a couple good playoff series. I think the Blues knocked them out one year. I don't remember. Nashville,
so,
the Predators, the Predators also
Yep.
go up there a little bit. Not because I don't care about them, but like all their crap that trying to keep Hawks fans from going to Nashville to go to the games and restricting credit card zip codes and all that crap too. But but the Nashville has never won a cup and isn't going to anytime soon. So that is my number 4, the St. Louis Blues.
Nice. My number 4, again, it's kind of like my number 5. Like, I don't really hate them, although they got a player on there I don't like. But it is the New York Yankees.
Ooh, who's the player
I
you
think
don't like?
that was Josh Donaldson.
Oh, he's such a tool. Such a tool.
Yes. But and he's Canadian too, right? Isn't he?
He might be. I know he played for the
Which
Blue
would be
Jays.
just like a real slap in the face to all Canadians.
He is from Pensacola, Florida.
Oh, okay. Well, that
also makes sense.
Yeah. But yes,
big DeSantis guy, I'm guessing.
Right. But yeah, the New York Yankees, don't like them, and that's more of growing up and watching a lot of ESPN and the fawning over the Yankees, and they are probably they have one of the second most overrated player in baseball history. Behind Yadier Molina's Derek Jeter. So yeah, I think they also have this aurora and mystique about them, the Yankees and everything like that. They would be America's team in baseball, I feel like, is what, if that was a mantra in baseball, that's what the title they would get. But yeah, I don't really, I think once Kerry Wood was pitching for the Yankees, I started rooting for him, just to see Kerry Wood get a World Series, and Larry Rothschild was their pitching coach, and I was like, he's got ties to the Cubs and stuff like that, and I haven't really the past since I think A-Rod left really cared either way if the Yankees won or lost. So yeah, the New York Yankees come in at number 4 for me, but not really a hated thing. Obviously, their fan base, there's pockets of morons there.
Yes.
It's a big fan base, so yes, there's going to be bigger pockets than most fan bases. But yeah, I haven't really encountered a lot of Yankees fans to say, God, they're awful.
No, the Yankees were one of my honorable mentions. And I think similar to what you said, the Yankees now, do I really care about them? No. Will I actively root against them? Probably not. The Yankees in the 90s, when they just won year after year, and Steinbrenner would just spend, and I don't even know if it was that I disliked them, but it was more, or maybe more like a jealousy, like why can't the Cubs be like this? I mean,
small market team.
Yes, I mean, technically though, they did make the greatest signing ever, which was to make George Costanza their assistant to the traveling secretary.
Yes.
So. But yeah, like those 90s teams, Danny Tartable and Rivera is their closer. Like, I was like, oh, God. And I think for me, once Alex, similar to what you said, once A-Rod left, I kind of like, all right, that's the last one. Like, I can't stand A-Rod. So once he left, I was like, all right. And now they have Josh Donaldson, who I also can't stand. But the whole, like, shaving your mustache and clean shaven, like, I think that's so antiquated. But whatever, they do it. They're getting, though, I'll be honest, if someone gave me $1 million and said don't shave, I'd say okay, that's fine.
That'd be easy.
Or if
don't
they
shave anyways.
Or start. Yes, that's true. Actually, I haven't shaved all week, Vinny.
You'd be the perfect Yankee.
I would be. They'd never know. Never know. Sidebar, I thought it was funny. In the media center the other day, we got a box of new books, and Derek Jeter is now a children's author. He has written 3 or 4 novels all about his childhood as a baseball player. So I will send some out to you. I figure when Will starts to read chapter books, it'll be the perfect book for him.
I'm okay. Maybe a fire starter.
His good kindling for the fireplace this winter.
Right.
His first book is called The Contract, and it's all about him being in like high school, signing his contract with the Yankees. Yes. So there you go. I think that's a great number 4, though, Vinny. I think you nailed it. So
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Justin, number 3.
All right. For me, this was one. No more hockey. We've jumped out of the hockey stuff finally.
Okay.
This is a team that I actually genuinely really liked as a kid. I followed them. I liked a lot of their players. But now I'd say in the last 4 years, they have jumped way high as a team that I root against every chance I get now. And that is the Houston Astros.
Hey, that's my number 3.
Is it your number 3? All right,
yes,
sweet.
it is.
So I'm sure we've talked about this. As a kid, one of the Little League teams I played on was the Astros. So I feel like any Little League team I played on, I also played on the Padres, which I still love the Padres to this day. And Craig Biggio was their second baseman. I played second base. Craig Biggio is still one of my favorite baseball players of all time.
Killer
Jeff
bees.
Bagwell, I really liked. Lance Berkman, okay. Shane Reynolds was one of their pitchers. Really liked him. Derek Bell. Brad Ausmus is their catcher for a while. They won, they lost the 05 World Series too, but really liked them. The whole Killer Bees thing, really loved. But for me, it started, first off, I hate their uniforms now. I do not like the orange and blue, whatever. That doesn't matter. But the cheating scandal, like once that happened, I was out. There was no going back. And if they would have just taken it on the chin and said, yes, we were wrong, we're sorry, we, do a mea culpa and kind of move on.
Yeah.
But the fact that they kept doubling down, their owner doubled down, their GM doubled down.
Yeah.
I feel like AJ Hinch was the only one that got out of that, like kind of feeling remorseful a little bit.
Yeah.
But even him, he said he knew what he was doing and he wasn't happy. He broke some TVs, but didn't stop it.
Yeah.
But,
okay. Yeah. Big deal.
And like, I'll be honest, like I still, now if Carlos Correa becomes a Cub next year, will I finally get over it? Yes. Do I like him now? But, and was it George Springer that was like actively looking himself up on Twitter and like going after fans that were talking shit about him? I can't remember. If it was Springer or Bregman. Springer, maybe?
I think it was Springer. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, like I can't stand it. And I can't stand that the fan base doesn't
defends
get
it.
They defend it. Like they don't,
Yeah.
They're not like, oh yeah, that was wrong. They actively defend it. At least the Astros fans I've talked to and known on Twitter and gotten to know a little bit. Yeah, it's a shame because, like I said, as a kid, I loved their blue and gold, the blue and gold Astros before they switched to the red. But yeah, like I cannot stand, and I also don't like Minute Maid Park, but cannot stand that franchise or organization. And I like Dusty Baker, and it pains me to see him trying to right the ship because I feel like he deserves better. But yeah, that's my number 3. I'm very curious. What about you? Why the dislike for the Houston Astros?
Yep, same thing. The whole cheating scandal, the not admitting what they did was wrong. Their fans, all they say is, well, look at other teams were cheating. Well, there's no evidence of that. Sure, you have rumors from players that think other teams were cheating, but there is no physical evidence that other teams were doing it. You had the Yankees, I think, with the smartwatches, or it was Boston. That was all handled and taken care of or whatever. And then you had this whole cheating, this whole system that the Houston Astros had. And yeah, the fact that nobody took any responsibility for it was ridiculous. I guarantee you, I guess I can't guarantee, but the whole thing with Altuve, and not wanting because he had a bad tattoo, like no one's buying that except the Houston Astro fans. Like, if you really had that embarrassing of a tattoo, I highly doubt it that you would like, no, don't take my, like, don't rip my shirt off because of that. Like, you would have been jumping around. You would be like, who cares?
In the moment, you wouldn't even have thought about it.
Yeah. No. Who cares about a goofy looking tattoo? I just hit a walk-off home run, like jumping around celebrating. You wouldn't have cared about that, but he had a buzzer on him. Come on. We all know he had something on him.
Trash cans. I thought it was hysterical. The Seattle, it was like the Seattle Waste Management Office or whatever, their like Department of Waste Management in Seattle. They tweeted out, and I retweeted it, It's like, hey, or it was the Seattle Parks Administration, I think. They're like, hey, everybody, we just want to remind you that trash cans are for disposing your waste. Don't be like the Astros. And then it had like
That's
the big,
great.
and it was, before the game started on whatever the other game one started. I'm like, that's awesome. But yeah, like, I feel like that franchise is never going to shake that, at least for the foreseeable future. And I think it's funny, like on sports radio, there's some hosts will be like, all right, it's over, whatever. But like, no, I'm like, nothing happened to them.
Yep.
The players were not found, nothing really happened. The ownership, got a couple guys lost their jobs, but that was it. Like, there was no big thing. So,
yep. But yeah,
it's
just that whole cheating scandal just like put a real sour, and just the fact that their fan base is just complete morons and boobs when it comes to like the cheating scandal. The fact that they point fingers at other franchises who were never found guilty. The Astros were found guilty by MLB, and then they point their fingers at other organizations. Like I got into it with some people in the fan base, and they're like, well, the Brewers players said that the Colorado Rockies were banging on the bench to give away pitches. Well, the Brewers beat the Rockies in that series. I remember watching it. They handled them well. I'm like, there's no way they were cheating. But yeah, it's just, they like to point the finger at everybody else and not be like, yeah, we cheated. That was pretty bad.
Wrong.
But hey, we're still a good franchise. Like, you could make that argument like, yeah, we cheated and won a World Series, but we've been competitive ever since, which they have been. And you can say that. And I think that's a thing that kind of just like, it sucks. Like, you would hope that a team that would cheat to win would just go be nothing, but they're still around every off season, and it's just like, it's annoying too. Because their fans are like, well, look at us, we're great, even though we cheated. So
it's really bumming me out that they're up 2-0 on the Mariners series. But,
I don't know.
I mean,
if
they are
enough
a good
to come
team.
back.
It's going to be tough, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm hoping the Mariners will be around. They will have some sustained success going forward. We'll see.
Hopefully.
Jose Altuve is another one too. Like, I really liked him. Second base, shorter guy like me. Like, I was like, yeah. And then, like you said, with everything with my tattoo is bad and the buzzer and all that, I'm just like, take a hike. So.
Yep. All right. Moving on. Justin, your number 2.
My number 2, I think we might be in similar situations. My number 2 is the Green Bay Packers. Hey! All right. Real quick before I get to that, though, Glucose says, I am a fan of Yordan Alvarez and Kyle Tucker on the Astros. Those guys weren't on the team during the cheating. I think Glucose, you're right. I think that's what it's going to take is once the few more years when all those guys are gone, I think then I'll be kind of okay. I still won't like the ownership group because that guy was a smug bastard from when he was being interviewed. I don't remember what his name was, but I think you're right. You can't hold the blame on the people that are coming in afterwards, but I feel like it still is like a black cloud that hangs over their head. All right, my number 2, similar to you, the Green Bay Packers.
Yes.
It's very hard to say how much I dislike a franchise. They are way up there, and I think, yes, part of it is they are the Bears' rival. But let's be realistic. In both of our lifetimes, Vinny, besides 2006 and maybe like 2003 and maybe 1 or 2 years here and there, it's not even a rivalry as much as it's a like beatdown. So that's the first aspect. Number 2, I cannot stand Brett Favre. I did not like him as a football player. I did not like him when he was sending dick pics to people unsolicited, and I certainly as hell didn't like him when that story broke a couple weeks ago about him, using the money from Mississippi welfare to get his daughter's college a new volleyball stadium. And the fact that he is also one that won't just say I was wrong and like digging deeper. So can't stand him. Aaron Rodgers. I really liked Aaron Rodgers probably like 10 years ago. Like I don't know. He was just so good and I was jealous that he wasn't a Bear. But like he's done this transformation. Like he's just kind of a really strange dude now. And I'm like, I'm good. We're good. I don't need him anymore. His girlfriend has come out, says she's part of a coven and she's a witch, which is kind of strange. And I know there was always the thing about like him with his family was estranged. And, I always thought, oh, that poor guy, his family must be so weird.
Yeah.
I'm starting to think it's not the family. I'm thinking it
might be everybody.
Him.
It might be
or they
both.
might all be insane. I don't know, but
Could be.
Yeah, that there have been Packers that I've liked. Like I did like Reggie White growing up. He was was he offensive lineman, defensive lineman?
Yep.
Okay, I liked him. Randall Cobb, I thought was a really good receiver when he was on the team.
He's still with the
He's
Packers.
still with the team. Sorry, yeah. Antonio Brooks, maybe that's who. No, Dorsey Levens. Do you remember Dorsey Levens? Running back. Okay, I liked him. So there's been a few.
Donald Driver.
Yes, Donald Driver. There's been a few pockets here and there. Yeah, I can't stand it. And I think too, like obviously spending time in Wisconsin to see you guys and see my family, you're just inundated with Packer stuff all over.
Yep.
And it's like, oh my God, it's like a religion up there.
It really is.
It really is. And
it's the one sporting apparel you can wear to any sporting event and be accepted.
Yeah.
Like you can go to a Brewers game and wear Packer stuff and people be like, oh, that's great. Like if you did that at a Bears game, like Cubs and Sox fans would be like, what the hell's wrong with you? Like we're at a baseball game.
I almost said I thought you were going to say you could wear Packers, memorabilia to like any family gathering, whether it's like a baptism.
I'm sure you can do that.
A funeral, a wake, a birthday party, all the above.
I would not put that past anybody to do.
Badgers season 2 probably, but
yeah, you see some green and gold there. Yeah. It's a lot of red, but you still some people that have green and gold.
So I can't. Yeah, I know as a joke, my sister, when they gave us a box of old clothes for Maddie from our nieces who are older now, they threw in like a Packers jersey, and I'm like, no, this is really petty, but I'm like, no, she's not wearing this. Like, no, sorry. And I am out of me, you, and Greg, I am probably the least Bears fan out of all of us. Like I watch them, but it's like a hate watching kind of thing. But I still like, even my Bears fandom is so low, like I still just actively dislike the Packers to a very high degree.
There you go.
So there you go. What about you?
For me, I used to hate everything about the Packers. And I would be, full on meathead, would not want to be around any fans. But actually the fan base isn't really that bad. They give me a lot of crap, but I mean, the people that I do know, the friends that I have, give me a lot of crap for being a Bears fan, which, yeah, rightfully so. I mean, the Bears have been bad. The guitar riff for the "Go Pack Go" chant is absolutely obnoxious. I cannot think of another guitar riff that is the worst guitar riff in the history of music other than that. And the fact that that's their chant, I've been at Lambeau when that's gone off, and it's even worse in person. That guitar riff, I can't wait till this franchise is a bottom feeder because Aaron Rodgers left and they're no longer competitive.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's
they
coming.
have that.
I hope it's coming.
They're gonna have that goofy guitar riff. That, and they have a song. I don't know if you knew this, but they have a song that's called "The Bears Still Suck."
I've never heard
the
of
Packers have a. I don't think it's the. Well, I'm sure the person that wrote the song was probably a Packers owner because they all have their little certificates that.
Don't bring that up because they will talk to you all about that too.
they own part of the franchise. And
I love the ones that put that in like their Facebook and Twitter bio, like partial owner of the Green Bay Packers. I'm like,
great, you have a
piece of paper. That's it.
Yep. But yes, there is a song, and you can find it on YouTube. I'm sure that, and I've had this sent to me. This is why I know this from Packer fans. But they have a song, "The Bears Still Suck." It is very obnoxious, and it's very pathetic and petty. The Bears don't, from my own knowledge, the Bears don't have an anti-Packers song that's played when the Packers aren't playing the Bears and they lose, because I get that from when the Bears had the double doink. I had that sent to me as a song, and yeah, it's obnoxious to listen to. It's even worse than the guitar riff, but it's the fact that they have that song as a way to say, hey, the Bears still suck, and they have a song for that. It's one thing to say, hey, your team sucks, they lost in the playoffs, which is kind of pathetic to do anyways. When
I would love for
Bear
them to
fans
get
were
to the
making fun of the
playoffs
Packers for losing to the 49ers last year. It's like, come on, guys, like they made it to the NFC. You know, they made it further than the Bears did. Like, I don't think we have really any room to stand and point and laugh. But the fact that they have a song that they can play to make themselves feel better that the Bears lost in, you know, being further in the playoffs than them is pretty sad and pathetic for a franchise. Yeah. With that being said, my wife is a Packer fan. And I do have to say that, you know, I admitted to her that some of my hatred for the Packers is the jealousy of how successful they've been in my lifetime. If it were reversed, I probably wouldn't have the Packers on my list because I wouldn't care. Yeah. They would probably be number 5 or, you know, just because of the rivalry, but I really wouldn't care if they, you know, the Bears were that successful against the Packers.
Can we talk about, too, how just 1 year your mom just decided to go from being a Bears fan to a Packers fan?
That's because of Jay Cutler. She didn't like Jay Cutler.
Well, I hate Jay Cutler. Well, I dislike Jay Cutler, too, but...
But I don't know. We'll have to check in on that if she still feels as strongly, because she liked Aaron Rodgers a lot. So we'll see if she still has those same feelings for her. But yeah, I know I digress. She's not a big football fan anyway. No. She couldn't name 2 players on that team outside of Aaron Rodgers. If you would say Aaron Rodgers, you can't mention Aaron Rodgers or Randall Cobb. She couldn't name even one person on that team. So
I know my other brother-in-law, Jake, the only other brother-in-law I have that's not on a podcast with us, he was trying to get Maddie to say "Go Pack Go" last time he was out here, and I'm like, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah,
we're not doing that. We're not rolling out the barrel for Brewers. We're not doing doing any of that crap. So, all right, I'm guessing we have the same last one too.
I'm guessing we have the same number 1.
All right, should we go on the count of 3? 1, 2, 3. The Cardinals.
St. Louis Cardinals.
Yes, the best fans in baseball. Not really.
No.
They are a train wreck. All right, where do we begin on the Cardinals, Vinny? I don't even know where to start.
I mean, you just started it, Justin. The BFIB, the best fans in baseball. When you have a fan base that claims to be the best at anything, you automatically are the worst fan base. The fact that you think you have some sort of claim on any other fan base in your sport is just absolutely ridiculous. What makes you a better fan than some other fan base?
But it's like the Cardinal way, Vinny. They have a
That's
book.
another thing. The Cardinal way. What is the Cardinal way?
Cheat. Hack into other teams' front office computers.
They cheated too. Yeah.
I think it's funny whenever, you know, in Chicago baseball, obviously for those that listen that don't live in Chicago, I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn here, but I feel like Cubs fans don't really care about White Sox, at least in my understanding and my experience. And as a Cubs fan, I don't really care what the White Sox do. I mean, I'll watch White Sox games just because it's baseball. And the only time I really care about what White Sox do is when the Cubs play the White Sox in the interleague, I guess. But you know, I feel like there's a section of White Sox fans that really care about the Cubs fans and want to be vocal about the Cubs. And then whenever I run into those groups, I'll be like, you know, I don't care what you guys do. The Cardinals are what matters to me because they are our biggest division rival. And it's just like you said, that they always find a way to crawl to the top. Their management, Tony La Russa as a Cardinals manager back in the early 2000s or early aughts, whatever you want to call him, I could not stand him. Him and Dusty Baker, there's one of the games where they're yelling at each other across the dugouts and stuff. Like that was prime rivalry. You know, Albert Pujols, yes, I will admit he was good, but I could not stand him when he was really good the first go-around with the Cardinals. Mike Matheny, another Cardinals manager, guy that just had a face you wanted to punch. Like, he just seemed like such a stroke. I could go up and down the line. We talk about them trying to hack into other front offices, you know, computers and
Yadier Molina.
There's the photo of him with so much pine tar, the ball stuck to his
spider tack probably.
Yeah. And I will give them credit. They are a very good in terms of actual ability. They always come out on top. Very unlikable. I do like their stadium was very nice. The new Busch Stadium was nice, but
it's boring.
It's
the whole city's boring.
City Museum's pretty cool. I'll give him that. But
it's dangerous too. It just got voted the most dangerous city in the United States.
Chicago was recently voted best place to live again.
Yeah,
look at that. I feel like Chicago gets such a bad rap. There's crime in all major cities. But anyway, I don't need to go on that diatribe. Yeah, I just don't like them as a franchise. They make my skin crawl. I don't like them. I don't know. What else do you want to say about the Cardinals that I'm missing
I think you said pretty much everything. But yeah, it's just for me, it's the fan base. Once you claim yourself as being the best fans in baseball, and a lot of them are, the ones that are vocal on Twitter are just dirt. Like the things they say to some of the players, it's like, where do you get off? And the fact that you think if you were truly the best fans of baseball, you wouldn't have any of these pockets of degenerates roaming around. But yeah, I digress. And if you were also the best fans of baseball, you'd stay for an entire playoff game. You wouldn't leave.
That was a great photo. Yeah.
Yeah. I despise that franchise. I dislike the majority, I could probably say 90% of that fan base.
A lot of the interactions I've seen on Twitter and, some of the people we not work with, but talk to and associate with, like the guys on CHGO. And I know our guy, Cody Del Mendo, he has been going hard at Cardinals fans lately. But some of the fans on Twitter that come out of the woodwork, like especially with the whole Cardinal way thing, it's like, if you don't fit into this box of what they define a Cardinal player, right, they don't want you, and they're very vocal, and sometimes it's like, is it not the Cardinal way, or is it something else? I don't know, but it's ridiculous, and I know the text you sent me this morning about I chose violence when I sent out the thing about better luck next year from Happy Gilmore for Cardinals fans, but yeah, it was great to see them lose, and I know we'll get to Zach's comment about he liked a lot of their players and stuff, and I totally get that. I think this is really a Chicago thing, a really heated Chicago thing, just because they're the biggest fan base that we deal with on a regular basis. And as a Cubs fan, as a White Sox fan, you don't really probably give two shits about the Cardinals, but
no.
Yeah. So there you go. That's my number one.
Was the one more thing that I'll add to my dislike was the outfielder that they honored, Oscar Taveras. That was. He was drunk and died in a car crash, and they honored him. I thought that was. I think
did he kill someone else too, or no?
He did. Yes, I think someone was in the car with him. Yeah. It was pathetic and disgraceful. But I think Tony was the manager at the time, if I'm not mistaken. But maybe that was past 2014. When was Tony's?
Did he end in 2012? I don't remember.
Okay, so maybe it was Matheny. Well,
which
still,
also par for the course.
Yeah, it doesn't. So. Yeah, it doesn't matter. But yeah, the fact that they wore a patch with his initials on it, and if he had died in one and he wasn't, he had died from a drunk driver hitting him.
Yes, totally.
That's something different. The fact that he was drunk and hit and killed somebody else and himself, and they're honoring him, was very weird and I think disrespectful to the person that that lost somebody. So yeah, that was another thing that really kind of like I think about that every once in a while. It's like they really did that. Like that's pathetic.
Yeah, Zach in the chat says yikes, yeah, with honoring a drunk driver. Yeah, I remember when that happened. I can almost understand if they want to do something in-house or something smaller on an outward scale, but if maybe in the clubhouse, like, hey, he was still our teammate and we were friends with him and we want to honor him in some way. Okay, fine, I get that. But the big production they made of it, and it's like, this doesn't feel good. I don't know.
Well, it didn't feel good to anybody else except the BFIB.
Except the Cardinals fans. And that's the other thing too, is similar to the Astros. From what I recall, it's been a while and I wasn't on Twitter back then, but like I remember reading about like Cardinals fans defending that too, and it's like, guy, this is not the hill
to die on.
That's
a bad hill to die on.
That's not the hill to plant your flag on. Nope.
Yeah.
No. So, well, I was curious if we'd have at least a couple in common, and we definitely did, Vinny. We definitely
top three,
did.
yeah. And I think the bottom, the last two were kind of just like, we'll
locked in.
Put them, put him there. Yeah, it was just like when I was like, well, throw him in there.
When I built my list, I'm like, oh well, I have like my top 3 is already nailed, and then I got the last 2. So
I almost switched out the Astros and the Packers, but the more I thought about the Packers, I'm like, yeah, they got that goofy song against the Bears and the guitar riff. I think I'm gonna have to keep them where they're at.
Yes, I think we might be a little bit Chicago meatball right there, but I think we are justified in those last 2. So. Did you have any honorable mentions before we get to the write-ins?
No, I mean, no.
No,
I was thinking about. I was trying to think like European soccer. I'm being a Manchester United fan, but more I've kind of fallen out of being as into that as I was, and really more or less it's more just jealousy that Manchester City and Chelsea used to be a big one when I was really into, because they were really good, but more so it's like with Manchester City, it's just jealousy at this point that they're really good and can spend and get good coaches, and the United's just kind of, since Sir Alex Ferguson left, haven't really done much. So yeah,
gotcha. The only ones I mentioned the Yankees when you did.
Yep.
Mets fan base drives me insane. That's well documented. I don't need
except
to
Jack Lugo. The guys on Disney on the
subjective.
Rocks.
Yes. There are some really good Mets fans that we've interacted and gotten to know, and they're awesome. So I that's why it was just an honorable mention. I'm like, nope, they're not in my top 5. There's more groups that I dislike. And then lastly, the Dodgers. They're just the Yankees of the West. I think it's more jealousy. They consistently throw money at people, whether it's going to work or not. Dave Roberts is, in my opinion, he's a great manager, so that drives me nuts too that they have him. But that was the only other ones I could think of. So
another thing for the Cardinals, aren't they donned the Yankees of the Midwest?
Yeah.
Which I don't get that. They don't spend.
They don't spend. No.
Yeah, I don't know. Do they ever spend? I don't ever remember being a big spending team.
Not really. I mean, they're not bottom feeders, but they're not spending to the brim either. So
yeah. I don't know. Whatever.
Another reason to dislike them. They don't have to spend money. You want me to take the first one?
Sure.
All right. Margie writes in. She said, I would like to nominate the Bills Mafia as the best fan base all around the country. I know that wasn't the topic, but I'm part of the Bills Backers San Antonio chapter, and they pack the Anchor Bar every time. Yeah, the Bills Mafia
That's fun.
Seems intense. Like jumping off, breaking tables, and all that. Like, I don't know if I'd do it, but they're not hurting anybody, but themselves, I guess.
You don't see anything negative come out about that fan base, so it definitely seems like a good party.
I am pulling for them from afar, hoping that they do well. I'd like to see them win a Super Bowl someday. Yep. So, thank you, Margie.
Greg writes in. I'm guessing this is Greg, your buddy?
My friend Greg, yep.
Okay. Oh, well, I'll leave out the obvious out, Cardinals, but every Philadelphia team, screw them and their awful fans, from throwing snowballs at Santa to cheering opposing players being injured. They're just terrible. Yeah, I forgot that they're the fan base that they booed and threw snowballs at poor Santa Claus.
Yeah, I don't mind the Flyers too much just because I liked their logo growing up. But the Eagles, I don't care. The Phillies, I don't really care. 76ers, I've had I constantly forget they're even a team. Like Allen Iverson is about all I know about the 76ers. So, but yes, I know they did boo
Santa
Claus. They are on their naughty list from now on. So
yes.
Our guy Zach, who is still in the chat, I believe. Thank you, Zach, for listening. He said, I think the Cardinals are pretty cool. I wouldn't say I hate them, but right now the Astros aren't the cool ones because they are playing the Mariners in the divisional series. Back to the Cardinals, though. How can you hate Goldschmidt, Arenado, Pujols, and Yachty? I don't think we definitely can't deny that they were and are good players, depending on which ones. I think it comes from a little bit of jealousy. Yeah, I think that nails it.
I don't dislike Goldschmidt, Arenado, or Pujols. The only reason I didn't like Pujols is because he kept taking away the batting titles from Derek Lee. I think Derek Lee was up for triple. He was almost going to win the Triple Crown, I think.
Say? 05?
Yeah, and I think Pujols had like slugging, I think, over him, and so he didn't. Or what is the Triple Crown? It's average RBIs
and on base. No slugging.
No, RBIs.
Home runs.
Yeah,
home runs.
Home runs. Yeah. So yeah, I think he had the home run over Derek Lee. So it was so frustrating. It's like, gosh, if he could just be better than Pujols, go away, and I just couldn't. And
spot on.
Yeah, that was kind of my despise for Pujols. But I realized he was a great hitter. But Yachty is just, I don't like him because he's overrated and he's kind of a baby too.
Yes. Yeah. I liked his brothers. I liked Benji and who was the other? Jose Molina? Benji and Jose Molina?
Molina.
Benji Molina, I know. And then there was another catcher too.
Was there another one?
Zach says, why should the Cardinals spend money on talent when they can get the Rockies to pay them to take Nolan Arenado? Yes. And then he also said he has a few Derek Lee baseball cards too. Yeah, Derek Lee is.
I got one.
He was one of my favorites. That would have been when I was in college, I think.
Yeah,
college when he was on the team. So. Good call there. Next one. That's you. Sorry, Vinny. Go ahead.
Oh, Karen writes in The Fast and the Furious. Ugh, can't stand those movies and actors. Oh, wait, you're talking sports. But that's my 2 cents. Thanks, Karen. Yes, the Fast and Furious franchise. I don't know. Justin, you're a big Fast and Furious franchise. Do you know Karen?
Love 'em. I do know Karen. I worked with her about 10 years ago, 11 years ago.
Okay.
Yes. No, I
she's saying that to spite you?
Maybe. I honestly don't know. I'm not quite sure. But
does she know about your
my love for them? I think it's pretty well.
Or I was going to say just your tuned up ride that you used to have.
No, back in high school, no, she did not know. No, okay. That thankfully ended before I became an adult. I don't even know if it
never leaked out when you were teaching either.
No, I had that hidden pretty well.
Okay.
I bought the new movie back before Maddie was even born, and this is what parenthood does. We have not even watched it yet. It's still sitting in the coffee table. Along with, I also just bought, I heard it was really good, All at Once, or it I don't remember what it was called.
No.
Everything Everywhere All at Once. It was supposed to be really good. I just bought that, but no, we're not going to watch that anytime soon. Dr. Mantis writes in, number 5, the Dallas Cowboys, they are not America's team. Number 4, the Astros, they are cheaters. Number 3, the Golden State Warriors, the Kevin Durant version. That's an interesting one. Number 2, the Chicago Bears. And number 1, the Green Bay Packers. Who does Dr. Mantis not like? He's a what fan?
He's a Vikings fan.
A Vikings fan.
Which I tried to get I tried to get him to explain why he didn't like the Bears, because for me as a Bears fan, I don't even think about the Vikings. Like I don't care about them at all. I actually like the well, I don't think the rest of the league cares about Detroit. But no, I actually like the Warren Moon, Randy Moss, Chris Carter.
Yep.
That whole team. I love that team. That was one of my probably my favorite NFL teams of all time in my lifetime. But yeah, that was a really fun team. So yeah, I don't. He never explained why the Chicago Bears are number 2. Probably because he grew up in Illinois and grew up around a lot of Bears fans. I would assume that's why it is. But yeah, the Golden State Warriors is an interesting one. The Kevin Durant version. It's probably because he doesn't like Kevin Durant. I'm guessing.
That could be.
I don't know.
Brooklyn Nets, their fan base would be rapidly. I can't stand Kyrie Irving, so that's a whole nother topic. But all right, your turn. Sorry, Vinny.
Yes, Andy writes in. He says the hashtag Islanders all Boston franchises. Yeah, and I thought about, could a Boston franchise be on there for me? And the Bruins were the first ones I thought of, just because the Blackhawks and the Bruins. But yeah, I mean, baseball, the Cubs don't really play.
It's funny because
Boston.
Like in grade school, middle school, and even high school, like before they won their first World Series, I really liked watching Red Sox games because I liked seeing them take down the Yankees. But after they won the 2, I feel like they kind of got a little.
Their fan base did.
A little too big for their britches, you know?
Yep.
So yeah, that I can totally see the Boston fan base. The Islanders is an interesting one. I do like the Islanders to a certain extent, but I
guess Boston franchise would also include the New England Patriots.
Yeah.
I'm assuming, which I guess I get that too, because I'm sure those fans are probably not rational either.
No, and I feel like I kind of checked out. I was a Patriots fan when Drew Bledsoe was still the quarterback, and then he got hurt and Tom Brady took over, and I was like, I'm good. So, All right. The 363 DP double play. Here's what I've discovered. As I've gotten older, it's not so much the franchise as it is the fans of the franchise. That is 100% correct.
Yes.
Because let's be honest, there's even a segment of Bears fans that I can't stand. They are meatballs, you know?
Yes.
So,
exactly.
Yeah.
Joe writes in, he says, I ask my Yankee fan wife this all the time. Do you know who I hate more than the Yankees? Who she says, Yankees fans. LOL. Yes.
I think that's spot on.
The fan base. Yep.
I think that's spot on. All right. Greg, our co-host, Greg, writes in, number 5, the Chicago Bears franchise. Poor Greg. He's really taking this White Sox thing hard. Number 4, the New York Yankees. Number 3, the Green Bay Packers. Number 2, the Minnesota Twins. I'll be honest, I almost bought, it was on sale, it was really cheap. I almost bought a Twins hat the other day. And I'm like,
Greg would probably punch you if you wore that.
I know. I'm like, I don't know if I can do this to Greg. I just feel guilty.
He doesn't care at this point.
Number 1, he says the worst franchise he can't stand is the Chicago White Sox.
Oh, poor Greg.
Poor Greg.
He's broken.
Greg, it's going to be okay. Put a Bond movie on and take a load off. It's funny. He still texts me when there's video game sales, and I'm like, Greg, you have so many games in the packaging still. He's like,
yeah.
I have a problem. I'm like,
right?
Okay.
But it's a good deal, Justin. Come on.
It is. And I'm like,
and when the kids are off to college, then what's Greg gonna do?
I don't know.
He's gonna have to play all these games.
Play something. He'll be on it'll be like PS8.
Yeah,
by then,
we'll be plugged into some VR system. There'll be
like chips in our eyes.
Right?
VR. Yeah. So, and then go ahead, Vinny. Take your dad's. Pretzel Vince wrote in.
Pretzel Vince writes in.
Hey, everybody! An old man's talking.
Let's see here. I really don't like any franchise. I think he meant like I really don't dislike any franchise.
Sure.
I guess I might envy some teams because they don't seem to have any rebuilding issues. They just reload. However, there are teams I don't like that because of the fans. I'm not saying all the fans are bad. Just seems like the majority of them are. LOL. There are a couple of teams that come to mind, the Packers and the St. Louis Cardinals. Yes, and yes, we've touched on them already.
Very
but
good.
Yes, we agree.
All right. We made it another week down, Vinny. We made it.
We did.
Do you
Next
have...
week's going to be busy.
Yes, we're gonna talk about that in a second. Do you have anything else you'd like to share before we wrap up?
Oh, I'm sure I had a thought that's gone out the window.
Fair enough.
So
that's
no.
Okay. No problem there. All right, real quick. Next week, if you're listening with either audio on your podcast app or if you're watching or streaming this on YouTube or Twitch, next week we will have a special guest. We'll have our third rotating chair will be in. We have, Vinny, you're going to have to correct me because I know I'm going to butcher his last name. Is it Jake Bujnowski? Does that sound right?
It's not Bujnowski. But I should have looked it up beforehand how you pronounce his last name, but I know it's not Bujnowski because he just got married recently, and that's kind of what's delayed having him come on.
Yes.
Someone on his wedding party had paid Patrick Wisdom to do one of those celebrity.
What are those called?
Yeah,
I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
celebrity greeted messages. And he said his last name, and it was not Bujnowski. And I was like, oh, I got to remember that for when we have him on the show.
Find that
and
so
I
we
forgot
can pronounce it correctly next week.
Sorry, Jake.
Sorry, Jake. The cool thing about Jake, though, you can follow him at baseball_BUG or BUJ. Sorry, there we go. He proclaims himself the president of the Ian Happ fan club, so he and I are in good spirits there. Even though we're not going to tell him I didn't like Ian Happ for the longest time.
I will.
He is also one of the co-hosts of the Dingers podcast. They are a Cubs podcast, pretty good.
Yep.
So we'll have him next week, and he's been gracious enough. He is not only going to join us for whatever, which our topic next week, we are going to rank our favorite minor league baseball logos. So that should be kind of fun. I know we did something like that with the 3-spot.
Yes, we did.
Long time ago, but not officially on our podcast. So we're going to rank that, and we're going to open it up to all minor leagues. And he is going to join us as of right now, if it all still stands. He is going to join us for the Cubs and Bears segment of the show because he is obviously a huge Cubs fan and a huge Bears fan as well. So that should be a good time. And then later this week. I'm sorry, man, holy
Next
cow.
week.
Next week, hopefully, and it'll be up later this month. We are going to have our one claim to fame. We are going to have MLB Pittsburgh Pirates legend and all-star Jason Kendall will be back on the show. I was texting Part 2.
Electric Boogaloo.
I was texting with him this week, which if you would have told like 9-year-old Justin, hey, you see that guy that's playing on TV right now, you're going to have his phone number and text with him. I wouldn't believe you. But anyway, Jason has been gracious. He's going to come on, and Vinnie pitched this really cool idea. We're going to talk to him about the 1998 season and what it was like being a catcher, and obviously with Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire being in the division, what was it like calling games for Pittsburgh Pirates pitchers and pitching around them? And then we're going to dovetail into Aaron Judge's, historic season this year. Obviously, one of the best players. It wasn't Shohei, right, Vinny?
No, it wasn't.
We're going to talk about that. And also, we're going to try and see if we can get him to kind of tell us who he thinks the actual home run champ is and all that good stuff. So we're going to hopefully record that next week. That'll be up in a couple weeks, though. And I think that about does it for the rest of October then. We will see. Maybe we can work in a Halloween episode when we get to Halloween.
We'll have to do that.
Yeah. Best candy bars. Worst candy bars. Mounds and Almond Joy.
Justin.
You don't like Mounds? You like Mounds and Almond Joy?
What's wrong with them?
Coconut.
There's nothing wrong with coconut.
I like coconut. I just don't like those candy bars.
Have you had... When was the last time you had a Mounds bar or an Almond Joy?
Probably 10 years ago.
Yeah, probably longer than that.
I have a very, very refined palate. I do like coconut milk.
You have a terrible palate, Justin.
That's true. You're not wrong. All right. On that note, so like we said, Jake Bujanowski. Jake, I'm sorry. I know I'm saying your name wrong. That will be next Thursday, same time, same bat channel, same bat place. Jason Kendall's interview will be up sometime by the end of the month. Find us on youtube.com/baseball, whatever. Like, share, and subscribe our videos. Subscribe. We'd appreciate it. At Baseball and What on Twitter. Find us on Spotify and Apple. If you can leave us a 5-star review, we'd be great. Someone did this week. We are now up to 19 reviews, and 18 of them are 5-star, and somebody review bombed us on the other one. Same thing with Spotify. And then lastly, text us or leave us a voicemail at 1-913-808-3278. That number again is 1-913-808-FART. And we will be back next week with more tomfoolery and fun and all that other crap that we bring to the table, because we are baseball and whatever. See you all next week, everybody.
Take care.
Where's the button, Vinny?